Good evening. Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Together with the Presidential Communications Office, we bring you the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news coverage from the People's Television, IBC, Philippine News Agency, Philippine Information Agency, and the Presidential Broadcast Service. I'm Joe Fernandez from Radyo Pilipinas. Welcome to Balitang Pambansa. Tonight's headlines. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. urges the military to not be affected by political tensions and instead stay focused on their mission to protect and defend the nation. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. opposes calls for impeachment against Vice President Sara Duterte, despite the latter's recent pronouncements saying that such move will not benefit the Filipinos. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. visits the province of Quezon to inaugurate a flour milling plant in Sariaya, distribute e-titles and condonation certificates to agrarian reform beneficiaries in Lucena, and turn over the KOPIA greenhouses and post-harvest facilities in Lucban. The National Economic and Development Authority expresses optimism the country will hit the 6 to 7% growth target in the last quarter of 2024 and that the country is on track to attain the upper middle income status next year. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas expects the inflation rate to settle within 2.2 to 3% range, which is still within the government's target band. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. called on Filipino soldiers to not be affected by political noise. The chief executive said this during his visit to the Southern Luzon Command or SOLCOM at Camp Guillermo Nakar in Lucena City. He encouraged the soldiers to stay focused on their mission to protect the nation rather than wasting time on matters that do not make sense. Meanwhile, the chief executive praised SOLCOM for its fight against insurgency in the area. He also reminded them of the country's transition from internal to external defense amid the current geopolitical tensions. President Marcos lauded the armed forces of the Philippines for their quick response and assistance during the past calamities. President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. admitted he prevented the filing of impeachment case against Vice President Sara Duterte. According to the chief executive, it was just a waste of time and it would not benefit the lives of Filipinos. PTV's Bernard Ferrer has the full details.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. does not support calls for the impeachment of Vice President Sara Duterte. The chief executive made this statement despite the Vice President's criticism against the administration. According to President Marcos Jr., any move to impeach her would not benefit the Filipino people.
This is not important. This does not make any difference to even one single Filipino life. So why waste time on this? What will happen to if somebody files an impeachment? It will tie down the House, it will tie down the Senate, it will just take up all the time, and for what? For nothing. For nothing. None of this will help improve a single Filipino life. As far as I'm concerned, it's a storm in a teacup.
The president confirmed the text message where he urged the lawmakers not to proceed with the impeachment against the second highest official of the land. He was also asked if his relationship with Vice President Duterte had reached a point of no return or was beyond repair. He responded with never say never, indicating that he has not closed the door on the possibility of reconciliation between them. Today, President Marcos Jr. was engaged in a number of scheduled events in Quezon Province. From PTV, Bernard Ferrer, Balitang Pambansa.
Vice President Sara Duterte was due to appear before the National Bureau of Investigation today over her recent remarks, but she requested to reschedule the probe. The details from PTV's Mela Lesmoras.
Vice President Sara Duterte did not attend the probe of the National Bureau of Investigation today regarding her alleged threats against President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., First Lady Liza Marcos, and House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Her legal counsel went at the NBI instead and asked for a reschedule.
Late na niya nalaman na canceled ang kanyang appearance before the House Committee hearing. So, tapos Hindi na siya nakapunta dito and ask for a resetting. Hindi naman tayo nang iipit ng tao eh. Ang gusto natin yung katotohanan, maliwanagan ng sambayanan.
On the letter submitted by the Vice President's Council, she stated that aside from the request for reschedule, she is asking for the list of questions from the NBI. The agency said this will be up for discussion as this is not the usual due process. But they wish for Vice President Sara Duterte to attend on December 11. Aside from the investigation on her recent pronouncements, the NBI will also look into the alleged threats against her.
Halimbawa, magkasakit si ma'am, ay valid reason yan, or whatever, na valid reason, no? Except lang yung hindi siya dadating dito, ni ha, ni ho, walang papadalang counsel, that will indicate na nagwe-waive na siya sa kanyang karapatan na humarap sa aming investigasyon.
The NBI will also issue a subpoena to those who actively participated to the live Zoom press conference.
Mamaya, isa-serve na ang subpoena doon sa mga nag-attend, doon sa video clip na identified na namin, mag-shed light, tanungin namin kung nangyari yun, in their presence, nagtatanong sila, yun, surrounding those matters.
From PTV Manila, Melales Moras with Luisa Erispe, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has given financial relief to thousands of family farmers following his distribution of e-titles and certificates of condonation, making them debt-free. This initiative helps farmers focus on improving productivity and strengthening food security as part of a broader effort for comprehensive agrarian reform. PTV's Bernard Ferrer has the full details.
Emma worries about the financial burdens from her coconut farm in the town of Bacalaon, but she can now breathe a sigh of relief as she is among the over 4,000 agrarian reform beneficiaries in Quezon Province who were granted e-titles and certificates of condonation. She shared her farm was severely affected by past typhoons, and assistance is a huge relief.
Napakalaking tulong po bilang magsasaka kasi sa napakaliit po ng kinikita namin. Kung magbabayad pa po kami ng lupa sa mga penalty, halos hindi po namin mabayaran.
This marks the first distribution of certificates of condonation and release of mortgage or COCRM in the Calabarzon region. A total of 11,497 certificates were distributed to agrarian reform beneficiaries aiming to improve agricultural productivity. More than 441 million pesos worth of debt was condoned as part of this initiative to reduce the financial burdens of the farmers. Additionally, 15 e-titles under the Split project were distributed.
Kahit sa gitna ng unos, patuloy kayong bumabangon upang makapagbigay ng pagkain sa bawat tahanan. Hindi namin matatawaran ang pagsisikap at sakripisyo ninyo sa araw-araw. Kaya't ang hangad namin ay mabigyan kayo ng ginhawa na buhay.
The distribution of COCRM fulfills the promise of President Marcos Jr. for a comprehensive agrarian reform program. It is also aligned with the Republic Act 11953 or the New Emancipation Act, which expected to bring significant financial relief, inspire farmers, and strengthen food security. From PTV, Bernard Ferrer, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. inaugurated a new flour milling plant in Sariaya, Quezon, which aims to assure the country's food security. The facility is expected to help meet the country's demand and bolster economic growth. PTV's Kenneth Paciente has more.
1, 2, 3!
The country's food security will be further strengthened following the inauguration of a flour mill in Sariaya, Quezon, led by President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. Spanning 10 hectares, the flour mill of Universal Robina Corporation is expected to process 1,320 tons of flour per day. When combined with the output of two other flour mills in Manila and Davao, the company will be able to produce up to 3,470 tons of flour daily, equivalent to approximately 104,000 bags. According to the president, this will meet the country's high demand while also boosting the economy as it will create job opportunities in the region.
In a time when every grain counts, this establishment will aid in ensuring that our people have the resources they need to nourish themselves and the future of our nation. With this new plant, the URC has positioned itself as a key player in our nation's food security, driving economic stability and innovation.
The President also highlighted the contribution of this facility to government's goal of ensuring stable and sustainable flour production in the country. He once again recognized the role of the private sectors as a government's partner in achieving its goals, especially in ensuring food security.
This administration acknowledges the critical role you play in advancing our socio-economic growth, boosting farm productivity, supporting MSMEs, and ensuring the food security of our nation. We will continue to create a supportive environment for our partners in the private sector through laws and agreements that promote the interests of both manufacturers and consumers alike.
According to URC, this demonstrates their confidence in investing in the country due to the stable economic environment under the Marcos Jr. administration.
This 5.4 billion peso investment is an affirmation of our confidence in our economy and the conducive investment climate created in our country by our dear President. It's also a concrete manifestation of our steadfast support to improving our nation's food securities, fully aligning to the priorities of His Excellency President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.
This is now considered the largest flour plant of the private food and beverage firm, utilizing state-of-the-art automated technology. From PTV Manila, Kenneth Pasyente, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. released the turnover of a food production facility in Lokban, Quezon Province, aimed at boosting food production and supporting local farmers. The project provides advanced agricultural technology and market access, benefiting thousands in the region. PTV's Gabillegas have the full report.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. presided the turnover ceremony of the Greenhouses and Post-Harvest Facilities project of the Korea Partnership for Innovation of Agriculture or KOPIA with the aim to strengthen food production in Lokban, Quezon. The greenhouses are planted with high-yield vegetables such as cucumber, romaine lettuce, and French beans, which are being sold by farmers. In his speech, President Marcos Jr. underscored the importance of the food production facility in sustaining the needs of the agricultural sector and in helping small communities improve their ability to export their products. The President also shared that trade between the two nations will be intensified through market access for agricultural products, particularly for tropical fruits such as pineapple and bananas, due to the recent ratification of the Free Trade Agreement.
We are also thankful to the Republic of Korea for the overwhelming support of your National Assembly for the ratification of our FTA, which came much earlier than we had expected. You have reinforced our call for a brighter and more sustainable future for all.
Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. said nature plays a large role in the success of the project despite the threat of climate change.
This greenhouse represents more than just infrastructure. It symbolizes innovation, hope, and power of collaboration as we work together to uplift the lives of our farming communities. It reflects our collective vision of sustainable farming that embraces modern solutions and adapts to the ever-evolving needs of the sector.
Korean Ambassador to the Philippines Lee Sang-hwa shared South Korea's plan to build the first Korea Agricultural Machinery Industrial Complex in the country, with construction expected to start next year. Ambassador Lee added 4,000 metric tons of rice from South Korea will arrive in the Philippines through the ASEAN Plus 3 Emergency Rice Reserve. Half of this is scheduled to be shipped today, while the remainder may possibly arrive in January next year. For Lokban Mayor Agustin Villaverde, the event is historic.
Bagamat masasabi nating maunlad na ang industriya ng agrikultura sa bayan ng Lokban, tayo ay kailangan ring sumabay sa nakabagong panahon upang higit na pa itong paunlarin, naging mapalad po ang ating magsasaka na magkaroon ng dagdag pang kaalaman at teknolohiya upang mas mapataas ang ani at sa gayoy masiguro ang mas mataas na kinkita.
Farmers were provided with 8 greenhouses, a seedling nursery, a post-harvest facility, financial assistance, technical support, and other needs. Up to 2,000 farmers in Lucban will benefit from this. Aside from Lucban, the towns of Siniloan in Laguna and Zaragoza in Nueva Ecija are also included in KOPIA's pilot villages in the country. KOPIA facilitates the transfer of Korean agriculture technology to farmers from developing countries that aims to help to increase their income, market their high-value crops to improve and sustain their livelihood, making them self-sufficient. For People's Television Network, Gabo Villegas for Balitang Pambansa.
The Philippines is on track to achieve upper middle income status by 2025 if economic growth targets are met, according to the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA. NEDA Secretary Arsenio Balisacan said, with the current gross national income or GNI per capita of $4,230, the country needs to maintain a growth trajectory of 6 to 7% for 2024 and avoid significant currency depreciation. Factors like holiday spending, stable prices, and remittance inflows support this forecast despite the impact of typhoons on agriculture. Secretary Balisacan also emphasized efforts to reduce poverty and bolster economic growth through lower borrowing costs and social protection programs. External risks, including geopolitical tensions, remain a concern. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas or BSP is expecting the inflation to settle within the 2.2 to 3% in November, which is still within the government's target range. The central bank cited increased prices of vegetables, fish, and meat due to the unfavorable weather conditions, higher electricity rates and petroleum prices, and the depreciation of the peso as the primary sources of upward price pressures this month. BSP added the upward pressures on this month's inflation are expected to be offset in part by lower prices of rice. Coming up, the Rice for All program kicks off in December. The Department of Social Welfare and Development holds its 2024 Gawad Kalingaan Awards in General Santos. More stories when Balitang Pambansa returns.
Nagsimula ang Baklay Multi-Purpose Cooperative sa pagiging isang tindahan. Sa paglipas ng panahon, sa tulong ng Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR at National Confederation of Cooperatives or NATCO, pinalawak ng barko ang kanilang saklaw upang isama ang mga serbisyo sa pag-iimpok at pagpapautang. Karagdagang suporta mula sa iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno ang nagbigay daan sa kooperatiba upang umunlad sa produksyon ng gatas ng baka at caravan.
Para sa Zamboanga del Sur, isang unit ng cargo truck.
Kinilala ng DAR ang potential ng barko at binigyan sila ng isang cargo truck sa ilalim ng Climate Resilient Farm Productivity Support Program. 31 proyekto ng mga makinarya at iba pang suporta ang naibahagi ni Pangulong Ferdinand Marcos Jr. noong ika-24 ng Mayo. 30 organisasyon rin ang makikinabang sa suportang inihandog ng Administrasyong Marcos. Nagpapahayag ang barko ng taus-pusong pasasalamat para sa walang patid na suporta ng DAR at kinikilala nila si Pangulong Bongbong Marcos para sa kanyang dedikadong atensyon sa mga benepisyaryong magsasaka.
Maraming salamat, President Bongbong Marcos of DAR.
Nursing is not the easiest job in the world. In fact, it's emotionally draining.
Huge step in the fight against COVID-19.
I truly believe in the things that I do because of where we come from, our resilience, our dedication.
A Filipino nurse administers the first COVID-19 vaccine, and her name is May Possums.
I gave my best and my heart.
I am May. I am the Philippines.
The Rice for All program is set to launch in December, making affordable rice available not only at Katiwa ng Pangulo outlets but also in public markets. The initiative aims to provide more accessible rice options for Filipino families. Despite the implementation of Executive Order 62, which reduces tariffs on imported rice from 35% to 15%, which is expected to lower the prices of rice, regular and well-made rice to 37 to 38 pesos per kilo, current market prices remain between 45 pesos and 55 pesos a kilo. According to DA Assistant Secretary Arnal de Mesa, the program seeks to encourage retailers to comply with proper pricing. Once the program begins, well-milled rice will be available at 42 pesos per kilo without any purchase limit, ensuring fair access for consumers. The DA plans to roll out the program initially in public markets across Metro Manila, with provincial markets to follow shortly after. The agency is also studying measures to address non-compliance by rice retailers in maintaining fair prices.
It's one way to correct the market. Alam naman, supposed to be ng ating mga retailers dapat yung presyo ng regular at well-milled. So, kagaya ng nabanggit natin, yung mga kadiwa, kung nakakabenta sila ng ganitong presyo, it could serve as a reference price nung presyuhan dapat.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, has confirmed preparations for the 2025 midterm polls and the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, or BARM, parliamentary elections are progressing as scheduled. According to the information gathered by the Philippine News Agency, COMELEC Chairperson George Erwin Garcia announced over 100,000 automated counting machines arrived ahead of schedule, allowing for early hardware tests and providing the Commission with more time for stress testing. He emphasized the COMELEC's commitment to transparency by allowing media and citizens groups to visit and observe the election data centers, including backup and main servers in Parañaque and Makati. COMELEC also plans to publish all logs, certificates of candidacy, and post-election financial reports, ensuring transparency and public access to election processes. Mindanao Technical Vocational Association holds the HR and Skills Development Conference in Cebu, where technical vocational education and training institutions are urged to tie up with industries to boost enterprise-based education and training in the country. Philippine Information Central Visayas Josite Antista fills us with the recess.
Around 500 representatives of technical vocational education and training, or TVET, institutions from the Visayas and Mindanao regions gathered in Cebu recently for the 23rd Human Resource and Skills Development, or HRSD, conference. MINTVET President Dr. John Franco said this is the first time the HRSD conference was held in Visayas.
Here we are, the first for each kind, that the Human Resource and Skills Development Authority at Skills and Development Conference of the Mindanao TVET is being held here in the Visayas, especially here in your area in Cebu. And so we are then very happy that our Secretary and the Director General of TESDA is really with us, bringing in his 8-point agenda at the same time for all those people coming from the Mindanao and opening opportunities as well for the Visayas area.
TESDA Director General Secretary Jose Francisco Kiko Benitez encouraged the expansion of the recently signed enterprise-based education and training law through the partnership of technical vocational education institutions with the industries.
Have to gain that appreciation, and the TVET schools, the TVIs that we have in the conference today and tomorrow are probably our best proponents and marketers of what skills-based training can mean and why it is important for businesses and industry to recognize it, right? The way it is in fact recognized globally.
From the Philippine Information Agency, Central Visayas, Set Antista, Balitang Pambansa.
An awarding ceremony is held in Soxargen to acknowledge the contributions and dedication of stakeholders in the implementation of DSWD programs. Philippine Information Agency Soxargen's Christian Matuliano has details.
The Department of Social Welfare and Development, or DSWD Regional Field Office 12, has recently held its 2024 Gawad Kalinangan Awards in General Santos City to recognize various individuals, associations, and partner government agencies for their dedication, volunteerism, and active involvement in social development.
Salamat talaga sa mga partners, no, namin, mga volunteers at mga SBOs, no, at saka of course salamat din sa mga national agencies na kasama namin, at harinawa ay mapalakas pa natin yung ating ugnayan, yung ating samahan through giving of course recognition sa mga partners natin.
Zani Fronda, a community volunteer with a disability and recipient of the Gawad Bayanika Award, expressed her gratitude to the DSWD for acknowledging her valuable contributions.
Nagpapasalamat talaga ako kasi ano ba yun? Naiiyak ako. Dahil po sa katuparan, kasi pangarap ko kasi yan noon pa po na magkaroon ako ng building po sa amin na persons with disability para po formal po kami na may office po. At yun po, nagpapasalamat talaga ako po sa lahat po ng kalahisids sa DSWD po.
Meanwhile, the Philippine Information Agency in Region 12 also received the Gawad Unlad Award for being one of DSWD's outstanding partner agencies in promoting its programs and accomplishments in the region. The Gawad Kalinangan Awards of DSWD in Region 12 underscore the collaborative spirit between the DSWD and its partners in achieving sustainable social progress in the entire region. From the Philippine Information Agency SOC Sergeant, Christian Matuliano, Balitang Pambansa.
The long-time dream of the people of Maripipi, an island town in Biliran, to have their own fire station is finally coming true. With the help of local leaders and the Bureau of Fire Protection, an important step has been taken to enhance the safety and security of the community. Philippine Information Agency Eastern Visayas, Jane Sanyano has more.
This is the island municipality of Maripipi. It can only be reached by more than 2 hours of boat travel from the mainland in the province of Biliran. Maripipi is one of the 14 towns in Eastern Visayas that has remained without a fire station for many years.
Importante ko niya magkadas ito kay in case of emergency, madali makatawag sa era. Kaya sa di waray man kung sira building or kulang pa siya na nila mga equipment.
To fulfill the request of the island residents, the Bureau of Fire Protection began the construction of their new fire station.
Okay, importante ko sa mo ng fire station kay in training naman kami sa fire station kay dahil ang bulik. Dahil ang bulik sa fire station.
Although they are a separate island, Maripipi Mayor Joseph Caincoy emphasized the importance of having a fire station and a fire truck to be utilized during fires and calamities.
The construction of the fire station of Maripipi is one of my outstanding list of the infrastructure because the fire station is mandated by law. Since it is mandated by law, even the Maripipi is very peaceful and safe-free, but still because as a responsible person or officer, as the local chief executive, it is one of my vision that Maripipi should have a fire station.
According to the Bureau of Fire Protection Regional Office in Eastern Visayas, aside from Maripipi, there are 6 more ongoing fire station construction projects across the region. From the Philippine Information Agency Eastern Visayas, Jane Sanyano, Balitang Pambansa.
The Philippines wins 4 prestigious titles at the 2024 World Travel Awards in Portugal. The country has been named world's leading dive destinations for the 6th consecutive year, while Manila and Boracay were recognized as world's leading city destination and world's leading luxury island destination respectively. And for the first time, the Department of Tourism bagged the world's leading tourist board award, marking another milestone in promoting the Philippines globally. Secretary Cristina Garcia Frasco credited the achievements to collaboration and government support, highlighting the DOT's focus on sustainable and inclusive tourism. These wins add to the Philippines' success at the WTAA Asia and Oceania Awards, where it earned 8 regional titles. With accolades for destinations and campaigns, the Philippines cements its status as a top global travel destination. And that concludes a rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again next week at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Joe Fernandez, and this is Balitang Pambansa.